everybody. Thank you so much for your interest. Like I said in my email, this is very, very important, and I'm very honored that we've got Marc Cadin, the CEO of Finseca, joining us this morning. He's been a very busy man, and I don't think his schedule is going to slow down anytime soon. As you might know, Finseca is the combined entity of the top producer group, AALU, and the top leaders and managers group, Gamma International, as well as NELBA, representing the brokerage community, and the Forum 400, a top producer community. Marc has been a Finseca AALU Gamma member for over 2 decades and can attest that his membership has helped him grow personally and professionally. And today, Marc is going to tell us the Finseca story and update us on some of the most recent initiatives, specifically the very timely battle that the fight that's going on at the DOL proposal right now for the fiduciary rule. And I know I've had some offline conversations with some of you already, so this webinar couldn't be more timely. This rule is much more than just some additional paperwork. It would require significant shifts in business models, compensation structures, and possibly even service markets. And Marc's going to expand on that. So please lean in, take advantage of this. If you want to re-listen to it after we've recorded it and sent it out, I definitely want to make that available to you. And I want you to hear what Finseca has to offer you. And just to let you know, Marc also had the privilege of being the voice of our profession in front of the House Financial Services Committee's Subcommittee on Capital Markets. So he's got a lot of insight to share with you. And I want you to kind of take it all in and understand how this is very impactful to our industry. So Marc, I'm going to mute myself and let you have it.
Well, Angie, can't thank you enough for having me and for encouraging the advisors you work with and your team, obviously, to come together around this important topic. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just kind of walk through some perspective on Finseca. As you mentioned, we're going to spend the bulk of the time on DOL. And I really want to emphasize the importance of questions, because I just think we have to have a dialogue about this. I get more candidly out of the questions that are asked, and there's no dumb question. We've doing a lot of presentations, trying to spread the word, but really want to have a dialogue. So let me just kind of work through a little bit of our story. We start with our why. We believe that holistic financial planning is objectively better for consumers. Ernst & Young came out with a study in 2021 that said consumers that have permanent life insurance, savings through investments, and annuities, they get better outcomes. I was actually on the phone this morning with the point person for Ernst & Young. Probably in about the middle of April, they're going to update the study. The original study was really focused on whole life and a deferred income annuity. The new study will have IUL and a fixed indexed annuity, and will also take into consideration Social Security. So this new study is going to come out. We will absolutely get it right out to our members as soon as it's out. And so that way, these are the kinds of things we think about, but this is our why. Holistic financial planning is objectively better for consumers. And you would think, if that's the case, and it's been proven by, a well-established third party, not paid for by the industry, you'd think the media would promote it and encourage it and encourage the people who are engaged in holistic financial planning. But as we know, that's just simply not the case. Angie mentioned that I had the privilege of testifying before Congress on your behalf. That morning, I was actually on CNBC's Squawk Box, and they asked me, why we opposed the department's rule. And I said, because the last time they tried it in 2015 and 16, 10 million Americans lost access to financial advice. So this takes us in exactly the wrong direction. And we know that a fee-only model will serve only those at the upper end of the marketplace. We have no problem with fees and assets under management and investment advice. That's an important part of a holistic financial plan. Our problem with the Department of Labor is restricting consumer access and choice and calling commissions junk fees. and adopting a rule that is so punitive that it will cause advisors to leave the marketplace. There's just no question about it. I'm going to come back to that. But my opportunity on CNBC informed another reality. And if you watch the clip, it's online. We put it up on social. Angie, maybe you can send it out. If you watch the clip of that full interview, I had my 25 seconds of fame, but in the other 4.5 minutes, there was a discussion that was almost nonsensical around the word fiduciary, commissions. There was one individual, Joe, who got it, you have to have a minimum amount of investable assets to be able to pay a fee. And because you 50, 100 basis points are only going to get you so far. But nobody else really got that. They had a fee-only investment advisor who was on there talking about how she does holistic financial planning, but don't worry, they don't receive commissions. I don't know how you square the circle if you actually know how life insurance and annuities are distributed. If you believe, as I do, and as they proved, Ernst & Young shows holistic financial planning makes a difference, you can't claim to be a holistic financial planner if you're not also offering life insurance as a risk protection and annuities to guard against longevity risk, market risk, sequence of return risk. So we have a lot of work to do with the media, but the constant barrage, it makes an impact. And you know what else makes an impact, unfortunately, is groups like the CFP board. They put this out the morning of where they announced the proposed rule in early November. The CFP board put this out. They supported the rule because it, quote, protects Americans from harmful conflicts of interest. Now, make no mistake, that's code for they don't like commissions. This is a marketing ploy. Fees are good, commissions are bad. We're on your side because we only make money when you make money, like Fisher Investments. Like every time I see a Fisher Investment commercial, it makes me throw up in my mouth because they're wrong. And their marketing is, I think, it actually hurts the financial security of the American people. I believe that in my soul. So we have these forces that are pushing against us, and the media buys into it. It has an impact on our brand and reputation. Look, this is a survey from Gallup that measures how the consuming public views us as a profession. We're just above car salesmen and members of Congress. And I think about this, it's outrageous because what you all do, holistic financial planning, is noble, it's needed. We have to grow this profession, and we have to deal with the retirement savings gap, the protection gap. And the only way that you get a holistic financial plan is to work with an advisor who does that. People don't wake up. I've been representing this profession for more than 20 years. As Angie said, I never woke up and said, holy cow, you know what I think? I got to go get a holistic financial plan. You have to find somebody who can help you do that. And that's why we created Finseca, because ALU, Gamma, NELBA, Forum 400, name your group, they were all too small to impact the national issues that we have to impact for us to stop playing defense like we are with the Department of Labor and start playing offense. When we picked the name Finseca, we picked it about a cause. We picked it about a movement. It wasn't about what your role within this profession or industry is. It's about what you do for your clients. And that's advance this cause of financial security for all. One by one, client by client, you help the clients you deal with become more financially secure. And we thought, hey, if we could bring everybody together, we could bring the career carriers, we could bring great organizations like Libra and all of the wonderful agencies within Libra and Crump and WFG, and we can bring everybody together. There's 500,000 members of this profession. We can create the future that we want. And before I get into more deep in terms of what the Department of Labor actually does, this is our value proposition. We want to elevate the brand and reputation. I think that's our most important mission. This morning, I had a call with a reporter. I spend a lot of time dealing with reporters. There was an article, and what I will say is an unnamed publication. You probably all saw it. That said, annuity complaints, this is an industry trade, annuity complaints surged last year. And then if you actually read the article, 50% increase in complaints from clients around annuities. And you read the article, there's like 500 some odd complaints. It is outrageous that anyone would publish an article that is so misleading that says annuity complaints surge. And we're talking about 500 people. We live in a nation with 340 million people. We got 500 complaints across 50 states. It's outrageous. So we have to do the work of elevating this profession. We have to diversify the profession. We try to use our insights to help our members improve their business. We want to accelerate business outcomes. We want to advocate for good public policy and educate the general public. Part of the Elevate, we created the Forbes Financial Security Professional Ranking because our profession is the only one that can guarantee financial security. So we put a lot of energy in terms of the tools and resources that help our members understand how do you look around the corner. We're talking about DOL today. And in about 3 to 6 months, the conversation is going to be very intense around tax because the tax code sunsets in 2025, 12/31/2025. And the presidential debate, which looks like it's going to be a rerun of 2020, regardless of how anybody thinks about it, that's where it looks like it's headed, there will be a meaningful debate on taxes. We have to be engaged. Clients care about taxes, and we have to be able to be conversant. This is what we do every day. So that's a little bit of background on Finseca and kind of what we do. Again, DOL is occupying a lot of our time and energy, as it should. But I do want to kind of paint a broader picture because part of what we created Finseca for is to engage a broader segment of this profession, so we get off of our back foot and get onto our front foot. Stop playing defense, start playing offense. But as we kind of really dive into DOL, you have to start with how they framed the rollout of this rule. I don't know that I've ever seen anything more offensive, wrong, misleading, inaccurate. When they roll the rule out, the White House fact sheet says commissions are junk fees, state regulation is inadequate, and that's why fixed indexed annuities are up 25%. When that's part of the rollout, then I think we have to take it, regardless of what your marketplace is. This is extremely serious. And I will tell you, one of the groups that's on the other side of this is the AARP. And Angie mentioned the testimony before Congress week before last. And, right before that came out, the AARP was blitzing the Hill with, they'd just done a new study. 90% of consumers want advisors to act in their best interest. As an aside, show me the 10% that don't. Like that, those are the people I really want to talk to because they need the most help if you don't want your advisor acting in your best interest. And at the hearing, the back row of the hearing was filled with AARP volunteers who would come in their red coats. So the AARP puts out this study, and they talk about how the UK has done some good things in this space, and they've regulated And what they've seen since 2012 to today is an increase in the advisor population, an increase in consumer sentiment. The UK is the model, and they're getting better outcomes. So the AARP puts this out. So I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So because that's not my understanding. So I kind of double clicked and dug into the AARP piece a little bit more. And the reality is the reforms in the United Kingdom that banned commissions went into effect in 2012. In 2012, they banned commissions. And the advisor population from 2011 to 2012 went down by 23%. The head of the FCA, which is the regulator in the United Kingdom, said out loud to a publication, losing 20% of the advisor population is an acceptable outcome. So what the AARP did is they just said, oh, we'll just look at from 2012 after the advisor population was reduced by almost a quarter. Moving forward, we haven't seen further reductions because they drove everybody out of the business. So the AARP and the Department of Labor, without question, want to ban commissions. And they think that their job is to protect consumers from people like you. That's what they believe. Their job is to protect consumers from people like you. And you have to listen to what they say. And if you take it to the logical end, state regulation is inadequate. Well, we should just federalize it. And then when we federalize it, we should just ban commissions because that's the problem. That's what they did in the United Kingdom. So this is really, really serious. And again, I don't care if you're in the annuity, you're in the rollover marketplace. I don't care what your business is. If you believe in the value of a holistic financial plan, if you believe that commission-based financial advice actually serves the best interests of consumers because it gets them the products they need to become financially secure, if you believe that, then we have to take this incredibly seriously. So it's offensively framed. It's got a long-term implications, but it's also really bad right now, right? So if we just unpack the rule at its most basic form, it seeks to create everyone to be a Title I fiduciary. And if you're a Title I fiduciary, commissions are banned. That's what ERISA says. Title I of ERISA bans commission. It's intended to protect plan participants and employers and advisors working together and taking money from plan participants in a 401k or other qualified plan and giving it to the advisor. And so that's what a Title I of ERISA is intended to protect. So it seeks to make every advisor a Title I fiduciary. In that, it bans commissions. You have to have an exemption to receive a commission. There are two exemptions right now, 8424 and 2020-02. If you're selling a variable product, you're not allowed to use 8424. You have to be in 2020-02. So it's only available for fixed products. If you're in 2020-02, what happens is you have to be a co-fiduciary with the carrier. And I don't know how anyone who's an independent distribution, who's offering multiple products from multiple carriers, is a co-fiduciary with the carrier. And I don't know how that works. And so I think and just as the cherry on top, it also creates a private right of action. So litigation costs will go up. I think from a practical standpoint, carriers just won't take the business. They won't take the risk. And if you check the box, the source of funds of the qualified plans, you're out. And again, no carrier has told that to me, but I don't know how they will be able to be a co-fiduciary with an independent advisor alongside of their competitors. I just don't know how that works. So this is a really bad deal. Unfortunately for us, it is flying down the tracks. Angie mentioned the conversation we had with Congress week before last. The week before Christmas, I actually had a conversation with the Department of Labor directly, testified on your behalf to the Department of Labor. And what I told them is that this is ill-advised, offensively framed, substantively bad, needs to be withdrawn. Commissions aren't junk fees. State regulation is inadequate. 10 minutes worth of, in my summary bullet was, you're doing a bad job and this is going to hurt Americans. And at the end of my 10 minutes, I received a total of 0 comments and 0 questions, which is consistent. We've met with the Department of Labor half a dozen times. And I go in there, Ernst & Young, here's the advisors, here's the independents. This is our thing. This is how they use 8424. We've got a team of lobbyists and experts, and no conversation. We said, hey, NAIC, SEC, FINRA, all have made the conscious choice, affirmative choice, not to impose a fiduciary only model. Crickets. So I'm left with the conclusion that they don't care. They're right now pretending to read our comments, but I think from all practical purposes, they are going to they're going to finalize their rules, send it over to the OMB some point this spring, and release it as a final deal at the end of the spring, early summer. The proposed rule gave a 60-day effective period. So we could be in the end of summer, early fall, where this is actually the law of the land. So the stakes couldn't be higher. We are working around the clock, meeting with members of Congress, saying, hey, you need to adopt a no funds amendment. And, every day we meet with senators, we meet with members of Congress, both sides, both parties, to say, hey, you got to stop them. The message I gave when I testified on your behalf to Congress was, you need to stop them. Our elected officials are charged with representing their constituents. The last time the department tried this, 10 million Americans lost access to financial advice. 10 million. And we already have a retirement savings gap, a protection gap. We already have the insolvency of Social Security in the next decade. We already have that. We need to go in the exact opposite direction of this rule. And the department doesn't know best, despite their hubris. They do not know best. I think our chances of getting the Congress to adopt a no fund amendment, frankly, are in the 10% range. And I had, we meet with, like I said, was part of our advocacy on all of your behalf, whether you're members or not. We meet with members and their staff every day. I had a dinner or lunch with 5 United States senators in the 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, all across the country. Not a single one of them said, I'm hearing a lot from back home on this. Finseca generated about 5,000 comment letters from about, a little over 2,000 to 3,000 people. Not bad considering our membership is 9,000, but we live in a country of 340 million people. 5,000 letters is just not anywhere close to being adequate. So we have to gain scale. We have to get more people to participate. If we don't, we'll see what happened in New York, where when they adopted a fiduciary-like proposal, life insurance and annuity premium and policy counts significantly lagged the national average or declined in absolute terms. And what we've seen the last time the Department of Labor did this, the annuity marketplace went down year over year by $32 billion. So the stakes can't be higher. It's obviously going to impact anyone in the business, but the bigger cause of financial security for all, it's going to negatively impact the financial security of millions of Americans. I think that is beyond a shadow of a doubt true. So, we need to have you participate. If you're an advisor, we're blessed that all Libra members and all Libra agencies and all Libra staff are members of Finseca because of our enterprise relationship. I want to thank, Angie and Bill Shiloh and all of the Libra. If you're an advisor that works with them, though, you gotta join the cause, and we have to have you come to Advanced Markets every spring, or every year we do a meeting in DC. Libra has a preferred rate because of the enterprise relationship, and we just simply need to engage more people. So Angie, I know we got a couple minutes here left, and be delighted to take any questions if there are any.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mark. I wanted to encourage everybody on the call, if you have something, a comment, a question, anything that you would like Mark to address, now's the time to throw it in the chat or the Q&A. At this time, Mark, I'm not seeing anything, but hopefully everyone's kind of heard what you've said. They're thinking about, how this is impactful to their business, to their practice, to their consumers, to their friends, to their neighbors. This is very important. We do feel very strongly about standing behind what you at Finseca is doing here. Let's see. I do have, I think John, I knew John Jones would want to ask a question. John, I'm not seeing your question in here. It's just you're just typing in his first name. I'm just seeing if his question's going to come through. Let me do this real quick. John, let me find you here. John, if you want to unmute yourself and you want to
Yeah.
speak. There you go, John.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Mark, I want to thank you for your comments. I think that's they're very, very appropriate. Just a little bit of background. I've been duly licensed in insurance and securities since 1980, and currently conduct the majority of my business on fee base from my financial planning side, and I have transferred all of my commissionable insurance sales to associates who are more knowledgeable and more current, like Angie, on all the current insurance products that I offered in the past. I also have spent the last 20 years as a securities arbitrator. And one of the key questions that keeps coming up during arbitration, one of the primary disputes in arbitration, is suitability. And this word fiduciary is rolls right into that. What do you think the impact of this legislation might be in terms of subjecting insurance agents to more arbitration from a fiduciary perspective?
Oh, I think it goes through the ceiling. John, thanks for the work that you do, and I think it goes through the ceiling. I mean, what's interesting, and this is one of the messages that I delivered to Congress week before last. If you think about the regulators who have the most experience in regulating the insurance professionals, you got to start with the NAIC. It's a state regulated business. You got to go to SEC, FINRA, obviously, for people that are doing both the securities and insurance or equity-based products. So like those are the ones that have the most experience, right? The Department of Labor has a niche, an important niche, but a niche. And in every single instance, the NAIC took 2 years to update from suitability to a best interest standard, right? Suitability says you just have to make sure the product works for your clients. Best interest says you have to make sure this is the best opportunity without regard to your compensation, right? So it is a higher standard than suitability. So the NAIC and the fiduciary is you can make only recommendations in the sole interest of your clients. And it unclear how, based on Title I fiduciaries, how somebody receives a commission and does it in the sole interest, right? So those are the sort of the levels, and I do them this way because they're not better or worse. They're just different, and they have different costs associated with it. And so the the standard for annuities used to be suitability. The NAIC did a 2-year study led by a bunch of commissioners. And the 2 years they took all the consumer groups, they took all of the different aspects of it, And what they did is affirmatively decided that a fiduciary only model didn't work because it would reduce access. So they adopted a best interest standard, like the SEC and FINRA have a best interest standard. That's been adopted in 42 states. Probably in the next month, California is going to be the 43rd state. And what we're saying is we're for the best interest. We're just not for banning commissions. And the Department of Labor said, you know what, we know better. There's a terrific letter from the commissioner of Iowa, Doug Omen, who actually describes, and he's also Iowa, you have both the securities and insurance regulators is the same department. And he describes the process by which they made the affirmative decision to adopt a best interest standard. Because fiduciary only, which is what the Department of Labor is doing, reduce access. So they don't even agree, the department, with regulators who do this for a living. So it is the worst process. Like I said, I've been representing the profession for 20 plus years. And in every instance, I say, these are policymakers that are trying to get the right answer. We don't love everything about SEC Reg BI. We don't love everything about the Model Act. We don't love the fact that the regulatory burden continues to grow and grow and grow, and so does the compliance. We don't love that, but we work with the regulators to adopt a thoughtful, practical regulation that helps that our members can still do business, and that gives consumers the protection as the financial advice marketplace has evolved. The Department of Labor has no interest in having any kind of constructive dialogue. So that's our frustration, is that they know best and they're going to protect consumers from people like you. And I just think the whole thing is just absolutely outrageous. So, John, thanks for what you do. Angie, I know we've gone over here a minute, but can't thank you enough for your membership and leadership in Finseca and as part of the broader Libra family. And, for everybody out there that's listening, thank you for what you do. I do believe that each and every one of you advances the financial security of your clients. And now more than ever, it's incredibly important. And, Finseca is absolutely honored to represent you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. And I appreciate you taking the time in your busy schedule. As you've all heard, Mark is incredibly busy right now, spreading the word and trying to be the voice of our industry. And we really, really appreciate that. So thank you for doing this with us. I want to thank all of you, and I will be posting this and sending this back out as well, because I think it's important that we continue to spread the word as we go farther and farther down this to see what 24 actually brings to us. So thank you again, Mark.
Have a great day. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.